Hello. Thank you for joining me. I'm really excited to be here. I never really wanted to do this because so many people they want their 15 minutes of fame, and that's not really who I am. But I'm really excited. I want to do this. I want to share with you this journey that I'm on, and I want to talk a lot about creative writing. A little bit about myself. I worked in corrections for 10 years. A lot of those ideas have gone into my writing. We'll talk about that later on. Also, I drove a truck for Pilot Flying J for 13 years. It was a gas truck, very, very stressful. And with the virus and everything going on, I had enough. So I decided that I was going to pursue my love of writing. So here we are. That's what I've done for the last few months. I've dedicated 6 to 8 hours a day working on my book. I've got other ideas that are coming and going. We'll talk about that too. So I want to talk today about just having inspiration, about having ideas. How many times have you say, "Wow, it's such a cool idea," or "That would make a great movie," and the next day you're like, "What was I thinking about?" So really, I just want to encourage you that no matter how dumb you think it may be, write it down. I mean, we all know that when you get out of bed, a lot of times you have this dream, and before you're done going to the bathroom, it's evaporated. So I really want to encourage you to always have something to write with. Have a phone by the bed. That's why I like to use a phone because I can swipe really quick. Just try to get at least with a dream. Just try to at least get a really good chunk of just the ideas of it. I had the most unusual dream the other day, and I grabbed my phone and started putting it in there. And believe it or not, we'll talk about this too. I get so excited, I got goosebumps. Inspiration, and you have a muse, and they give you ideas and they lead you in a direction. For example, I had this dream, I wrote it down, didn't make a whole lot of sense. And then I woke up with this horrible headache yesterday, and I said, I'm not doing much. I'm just going to watch some Netflix. I found this amazing thing on there about the Cecil Hotel. I don't know if y'all have seen that. Wow. Wow. Watch it. Anyways, I realized a few things, and they talked about the fact that it was 15 stories, but it didn't have a 13th floor. So, oh yeah, they eliminate that. And all of a sudden, it clicked with the idea I had that my character goes into an elevator and somehow magically appears on that 13th floor because in the spirit world, they don't abide by the laws that we have. So just because man doesn't create a 13th floor in the physical realm doesn't mean there isn't a 13th floor somewhere else. And so then all of a sudden, wow, you go into the she doesn't realize that she steps off the elevator and she's in, it looks like a normal hotel, but what she's going to encounter and go through there is unbelievable. So again, you get an idea, just write it down. The other thing I'm going to inspire you with and talk about, real brief. I want to keep these really short. I don't want to bore people. If you want more, let me know and I'll expand them. But I really want to keep them like within 5 minutes. So Stephen King talked about, if you ever read his book, and if you haven't, you need to. It's called On Writing. And he said that he gets an idea and he related it to an archaeologist who finds a dinosaur, but you really got to work hard to get that thing out of the ground. He said you could take a jackhammer and you could get it out really quick, but what are you going to have? Nothing but a pile of shit. So he said, like an archaeologist, you take a toothbrush and you work at it and you work at it. And that's how he does a story. He gets an idea and he lets it develop, he lets it grow. That's something I do. That's what I'm going to encourage with these channels. I'm going to talk to you about these things. You get an idea, just see where it goes. When people talk about plots and all the structure and whatnot, I agree with Stephen King. It can sometimes choke the life out of things. I prefer to be more spontaneous myself, but by no means am I denigrating people who need structure and need plot and that. And sometimes you could do both. You can blend them together. There's nothing wrong with that. I mean, there's no set rule to things. But I really want to talk about letting inspiration flow and letting it go where it wants to go. I'm going to share one more thing about Stephen King and then I'll let you go. He said in his book Misery that he really, in the back of his mind, he really believed that, what was his name? I think Paul or Ron. It doesn't matter. That the author that she was holding captive, he really thought he was going to be dead at the end. And he said, that it turns out that he was much more resilient than he had ever imagined. So I think I really agree with him. Don't force your characters to take a particular path when they want to take another one. You can always explore that other path, and if you don't like it, you're the grand designer. You can always bring it back to where you want to go. But creativity, sometimes you just never know where it wants to go. So be open, because creativity comes from a place that's outside of here and it's not linear, and you let it flow. I think I'll do another one of talking about how where creativity comes from in the spirit world, it's not linear. That probably will be the next one we'll talk about. Thank you so much for joining me. Hi, Mom, and probably 2 other people, since this is my first show. I hope that I get a few more, and I hope that you enjoy this, and please leave comments, and have a great day. Thank you for joining me.